you see the issues around you and you go from questioning of, oh yeah, the issues are there, slowly changes to, hey, why should it be like that? So this person very wisely said, hey, I can help you maybe with this one tree. What are you going to do with the rest of the trees? So we were very concerned about truck traffic on SH35 and the buses. So primarily led by one of the moms, who lived in the area and like was concerned about her children, commuting for long hours. There was no avenue in the Whitefield area at that time to find out how you could change things. Quickly, we thought that we can become a platform to just regular people be more active, to be more constructive rather than just whine about, hey, this is bad and, we can't fix it. Everything is bad. Everything is bad. I think that was a big turning point where we were able to raise consciousness about the poor condition of the lake. The way that people came together in Bangalore, it's just amazing. Bangalore's got a lot of heart. It's just that we don't know how to. But we are not here that, hey, tell Whitefield Rising, they will call and they will fix it. Motto that all drives us. I mean, if you are a Whitefield Rising person, very clearly, you are not in this to get glory. A contract where there is a clear, can you imagine in the civic space, how much of accountability and approvals and checking and finance and line items need to be there to be able to do that? That understanding is missing. This is not good enough, man. Like we just got Kaveri. I think it's a very Bangalore thing that you are willing to give of your space and time to causes which will bring a community forward or help one another. I think that's just so brilliant.
Are citizens no longer interested in using their voice to create change in the cities? Have we all given up? Do we think that the government knows everything and they can do everything and we just sold our democracy and we're just going to wait for solutions to pan out? What are those solutions? It's waterlogging when the rains are bad, the roads are unkempt, there is potholes, and all we do is shout on Twitter. And nobody cares on Twitter. The government doesn't feel that they should listen to you on Twitter. They may try some things, a few officers, a few good people will do something, but the system as a whole is focused on 3 or 4 large projects, pan city, just to give you some nice, warm, fuzzy feeling. There's some massive roads, some flyovers, some tunnels, some buildings, some tall towers. And at the end of the day, you are still left holding the bag. The waste is still badly done. You're still having waste. You're still having waterlogging. You still don't have water when there is summer. There's a lot of these problems that you continue to face. But where are the citizens? How are they showing up? Is it only on X or Facebook? Is there a real way in which we get together? What happened to the momentum that we saw in Bengaluru in the 2010s lasting to 2015 and COVID? Did we lose everything in COVID? Did we lose momentum in COVID? What happened to that generation from 2015 which did such a lot of things, right? Let's speak to somebody who participated in that as a part of Whitefield Rising, which is one of the RWS in Bengaluru on the east side of town, which was quite famously in the news for doing a lot of good things. They fought against many things and they stood up for their communities and asked for a better quality of life. And Zibi Jamal was one of the members of Whitefield Rising, a key member who participated in a lot of these things. Let us talk to her and see what Whitefield Rising was all about. How did it come? What are they doing? How do they operate? And what's in it for you and me in living somewhere else in Bengaluru or some other city? What can we do? If all of you guys have done so much, where is it going? Because increasingly I'm seeing that there's a lot of ground level raising of issues and engagement required at some level.
Yeah.
And what you guys have done is version 1.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what version 2 will look like. Is it not going to be there at all? So anyway, we are on. Zibi, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
So you had almost a decade of tinkering around this civic space.
Yes.
of being a citizen in the broader area of Whitefield and East Bangalore, and along with a lot of your colleagues, shall we say, being active citizens in working with the government to get civic problems addressed.
Yeah.
What has been this journey of Whitefield Rising? What has it gone through? And why was Whitefield Rising even required? Why did you have to set it up?
So it started very, Whitefield Rising's journey started very innocuously. Actually, I was not part of the organization from or like this group of volunteers from the beginning. It started in 2013. I kind of joined in the latter part of 2014, but I had been kind of watching them because there was a Facebook account, and you could see the activities, um, and it it talked my language. It spoke to me. That's why I joined, because I had been in Bangalore by that time when I started seeing them for about like 3 years. You see the issues around you, and you go from questioning of, oh yeah, the issues are there, slowly changes to, hey, why should it be like that? Right? Is it possible to correct it? And this seems like a very easy thing. It's just a hole there. Can we call somebody up and to fix it? That was certainly the thought process that was going around in my mind. And so Whitefield Rising Star also happened very innocuously with a pretty big tree that was being cut in the Ramagonnahallli area. And typically, what does one do when you see something or you want to fix something here? You call somebody to say what, who, what, where, and can you get somebody to talk to somebody and then stop it if that is a big thing. So this person very wisely said, hey, I can help you maybe with this one tree. What are you going to do with the rest of the trees? Because they might go on cutting more, right? So then that gave a pause to the people like Nitya, and Nitya was instrumental in putting Whitefield Rising together. Nitya Ramakrishnan. She brought like-minded people together. I think the story goes that about 50 people attended the first meeting. And from there, the first focus was cleaning the area. It was about ugly spots. And ugly Indians were a huge inspiration because, it's around that time that we also started getting to hear about ugly Indians going around and just cleaning spots and making it clean, right? So huge inspiration there. And the focus was on garbage and solid waste management initially. So there was a Facebook page, saw them, and then my first activity with Whitefield Rising was going to clean the school, one of the school/college in Vartur. So I went there and said, you know what, I'll help out and I'll just come and clean it. Very quietly, they said, bring gloves, come in. So went there, just cleaned, and then came back. Next was again another cleanup in Nallurhalli, Borewell Road. We cleaned up the footpath, we painted the walls and things, like a very ugly Indian kind of a model that we did. Then a couple of them, Whitefield Rising volunteers, came to my community and talked about solid waste management. Hey, how can we bring in the 2-bin 1-bag system, compost, and talking of all this. So environment and sustainability and cleanliness were the big topics that we were addressing. And then but I was very on the periphery a lot, just did not know, how does one join? Actually, how does just one join a volunteer organization? And imagine, a lot of the people that initially also, we are all working professionals. It's not like everybody is free to follow their passions or, had a lot of free time, families, working. So there's limited time. So there is not much to do at all times too. If you ask, sometimes people write to us and say, hey, what is it that you can join? Can you do an activity with us? Or, like a CSR activity. We don't have activities like that, it's intermittent in that way, but there's a lot of things that happens continuously too. So, but nothing that, happens on a regular basis, they can just plug in and plug out, there aren't things like that. But then suddenly there was a huge issue about mobility that came in, because a lot of our kids, we had young kids going to school and getting stuck in traffic. Vartur traffic now is like terrible, because the just in the last 10 years, the number of apartment communities that have come up on that Vartur SH35 is huge. But even then, the road was in poor condition. A lot of schools that side, the buses in the morning hours and evening hours was taking a long time. There was just that single one bridge from old times. So we were very concerned about truck traffic on SH35 and the buses. So primarily led by one of the moms, who lived in the area and was concerned about her children, commuting for long hours. So I have a background in communication. I was working at that time in a PR agency, and I knew communications. And then to me, it was like, you know what? I can help with communications for this particular event that you're organizing, which is a protest against the truck traffic on SH35. So I hit my sweet spot with Whitefield Rising, where I'm able to use the skills that I know about communicating and being able to share that message of, hey, we are doing this because X, Y, Z things, and being able to share with an audience. And importantly, with the media, to raise our voice to the powers that be, and to invite media and come. So I was able to help with that, and we were able to raise that very well. There were set guidelines that were set about, hey, in peak hours, don't allow trucks to come on SH35, stoppage of trucks, entering from each side because there is another road that they can take and things like. So some allowances were made. I think it just grew from there because of the Facebook platform as well. It allowed people. There was no avenue in the Whitefield area at that time to find out how you could change things. Everybody was, you would see garbage, or you would see a pothole, or you would know certain things. But who do you call? Is there anybody who has successfully addressed this issue by working or raising the issue? Who do we even raise a complaint to? I don't think at that point, none of us had any idea. But there was this platform where you could post this question and somebody would tell you, hey, maybe you can call here. There are people like assistant engineers, executive engineers, or there's a ward committee or things like that. It became a platform for sharing knowledge. And we started, I think WhatsApp was new. We started information on WhatsApp because we started communities where you could, easily exchange information. So it just grew from there. And quickly we thought that we can become a platform to just regular people be more active, to be more constructive rather than just whine about, hey, this is bad and, we can't fix it. Everything is bad. You know what? Hey, if this is bad, like the ugly Indians, right? Change it. Maybe you can bring like-minded people and clean up the space. Or you could, take it to the officer. Maybe the officers are not aware that there is a pothole here. Find those officers. Can you connect that? So that's how Whitefield Rising kind of grew. And I think our big milestone points, that if you want to call it that, came with Vartur Lake. I think the foam, the toxic foam that we created, that news about, I think that was our big turning point where we were able to raise consciousness about the poor condition of the lake. I remember hearing at that time when we were, you could see the foam, literally. Yeah. It was there. I mean,
it would blow over as well.
It's blowing over. I don't think prior to that, there was any concept of toxic lakes of Bangalore. I don't think this is 2015 I'm talking about. I think pre-2015, if you look at it, I don't think you will see media articles about foam and toxicity of the lakes as much as, we were able to amplify that noise. And I remember hearing from somebody saying that at that time it was Chief Minister was Siddaramaiah. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah. He's like, there is Vartur Lake. He was not even aware there was a lake. That's how much we are not in the consciousness of people in BBMP, because we are far away. We are about 20 kilometers away from the power center. The CBD gets a lot of love. The outer areas have just been allowed to grow, just grow. We will just pass the land off. How can you, and the question that one has to ask is, how can you allow houses and companies to come up when you don't make roads, when you don't give basic necessities like water, when you don't put drainage systems, how can you allow a house and a housing society to come up? It's not a panchayat. Whitefield became part of Greater Bangalore in 2008. So it was all of these that led to setting up of the platform, like-minded people joining, and there were iterative progress, or things that could happen that we were able to help people succeed, or we as a platform was able to succeed and bring attention to. So it gave hope. It's actually inspiring to see that, because we are so hopeless otherwise. Like the road is broken, so what do? Just deal with it. Just put up with it. But here's like, you know what? I can do something about it. And here are other people who want to do the same thing. Can you come together? There's strength in mobilizing a crowd. And then we grew as that. Mobility became a big focus because of the truck protest and all of those things. Then suburban train became a huge thing that that's when we got to know you, Sathya and Sanjeev and so many other people. And it just kind of grew from there. And right now where we are, I think it's, Whitefield Rising. It's amazing to see so many risings across Bangalore. I think, that's something that we are, that we take heart, that people know that, you can raise. And I think in Bangalore being a tech city, I think it's a big plus because you have these tech tools that you can easily raise your, utilize. And giving hope to people like, you know what, you don't have to just put up with it. You can ask questions. I think for us, it's about asking questions and also importantly, what can we do together? And any city, I think you have to understand that any city that grows as rapidly as Bangalore has done in the last 20 years is going to have problems. It was just not set up to grow this exponentially fast like this.
And even if it is not set up, any growth brings with it a change that, if not planned well, is going to cause harm to a lot of people. But what's happening is there are a lot of risings that you said have come around. You hinted at mindset of people. They don't even know some of these things exist in the outer reaches of Bangalore where they are supposed to be aware of. It's so far away, and every time I hear in the news about whether it is Whitefield Rising or the many other risings that have come up now, it's always about you guys don't even care about what's going on here. You're not paying attention. You're not doing your job. These are the things. What has been the government's reaction? I'm sure it is different for different people. You guys being the more famous and the more established one might have a different response. It still doesn't mean your problems are solved as much as you would have expected, right? What has changed over the decade? When it was 10 years ago, 2013, 2015, all the campaigns up to 2017, there was quite a bit of momentum. Have things changed? Of course, WhatsApp groups have changed. Here, I don't have a rising in my neighborhood, but I still have a WhatsApp group with everybody's name and number listed. So some things have moved on. This plug-in, there is no plug-in, plug-out. People can't just come in and do one activity and walk out. It's not so easy. Engagement is harder. You need to stay engaged. Are those things different now? Are you finding less traction now?
I think it's not an easy answer. I think there are like tons of problems, right? Like, you pick one problem, and if you want to do there are problems that, it causes other problems too, right? It's not one thing. And Whitefield Rising also, it's not focused on it's not a single issue platform. It's, we believe in helping people address many, many things. At the heart, we want to build a community, right? We want to build a community that is there to help people out. It can be a single person that we are helping out. It can be a large group of people that we are helping out. Like, for example, I mean, we will go and help out a lady, or get a cataract operation. I mean, you put it in a community. Hey, there is this lady, and this has happened. She needs a cataract operation. She needs to go to the hospital, the Shankara Eye Hospital at Kundanahalli. This person who was the lead said, hey, she needs to go, 3 days, Saturday, Monday, and Tuesday, but I'm unable to. Can somebody step in? people come forward to take a complete stranger lady, and she's not anybody, like, she was from the underserved community, took her, sat with that person the whole day. You go to Shankara Eye Hospital, it's a 5-6 hour ordeal. You just have to wait because and come back, and there were people willing to do that. To us, it gave us encouragement because that was what was missing. There was no a common platform that one could ask and one could get help. And Whitefield Rising has created that platform because we want to be a community that is there who anybody can tap into to find questions or support. So that is a single person example that I gave you. But we mobilized during COVID. Like, it came up. We went from 25th of March, the country shut down. What are the parents of the kids who go to the government school? They don't have job, their daily wage. If they don't work, they don't get to eat. We went from 25th of March not knowing what to do. 1st of April was our first food drop. Food bags. We mobilized money. Within a few days, I went from not knowing how much a kg of rice that I can buy in the FCI go down, like absolutely no clue, to ordering 10,000 kgs. At that time, it was hard to get gunny bags. We couldn't get bags because bags ran out, because people were just having the way that people came together in Bangalore. It's just amazing. Bangalore's got a lot of heart. It's just that we don't know how to. And we gave that how to. And I continue to believe that a lot of people, I think, very generous, will give their time, but they need trust is the factor, right? If you trust that there are people who will do the job that say that they're doing, I think that you can find support in Bangalore. I think Bangalore is a great city that way. So I think we became a platform that we want to build a community, and a community is what we have built over. And I think I don't think there is a single time that we have not been able to find or connect somebody to some help. We do things from connect people to blood donation. Today it happened last night. We do things to helping people get khata without bribes. We have done things like, feed the dogs, being able to mobilize support for feeding stray dogs, to during COVID, flying cancer patients home. Like we have done like at least 35 patients home. So it's been very, very varied, but people come forward, and it's just amazing to see.
I think a large part of active citizenry is also about caring for each other.
Yes.
But there's a huge amount of influx of newer and newer people coming in. These areas, I'm sure east of Bangalore is just exploding.
Yeah.
Just like every other part of it is.
Yeah.
And there are new people coming in, new ways of dealing with it. How do they discover Whitefield Rising? How can anybody set things up like this, and then how can people discover?
I think social media. It's primarily social media, because invariably you end up, on Twitter or we are on X, we are on Instagram, we are on Facebook. So those are the 3 platforms that we need, and we also have broadcast channel plus communities. We have a Whitefield Rising communities group where people from different communities can join. So we are very fairly large outreach. So if you add up our reach over the 3 platforms. So Facebook and X is above 60,000. And then you add in the broader outreach, maybe like 75,000 people that we can, if you just want to take absolute numbers, like everybody's reading every single post, right, that we do. During COVID, we even had Telegram, but it becomes really hard to manage. It's actually information sharing it's actually a full-time job. We have we have volunteers who manage these things because it's hard, right? The time and information sharing became really critical is actually during COVID. If you remember, where was the first COVID patient in Bangalore?
I don't know. Where was it?
Whitefield.
Really?
Yeah.
You're a first in that too?
Yeah, we are first in that too. The first COVID patient was in Whitefield. This was the gentleman who came back from Germany and went to a movie theater.
Oh, I should have guessed. Yeah, I remember that.
And then he had COVID. He got it on the flight, which was like the first or second week of March. And then there was panic. And remember, the one COVID patient means a whole, there was a shutdown. And Satya, the kind of rumors that went around there, it was things like, no, you know what, Vaidehi Hospital has 50 COVID patients. The government is keeping it under wraps because they don't want panic in the city. At COVID time, we actually became a credible source of information. So people relied on Whitefield Rising to verify information and put it out there. So we were very busy distributing food as well as a like fact checker sort of like Whitefield Rising. Hey, they would ping us like, is this true? Because people are just going berserk. So we came out with an information booklet for how to be safe during COVID. So many things, and just every day, like tracking. We brought communities together to help out. There was a lot of things. I think that's when we knew that as a verification system too. So we have SOPs now. How to do it. These missing kids and things like that come forward. We will not forward unless one person calls up that family and to verifies it personally. We will not forward. So we verify information to like as much as we can, and like otherwise we will just not put it out. Sometimes we still make mistakes, but we are very quick in correcting that if we have made mistakes. So there is that information sharer of sorts also that you play that role also, especially in the Whitefield area. People look towards us to do that.
How scalable is the model? Are there very few volunteers that do a lot of the work? Is it spread? Do some people do more work than the others? How does this typically look like? Because we are talking about trying to channel energies, trying to bring some effective outputs to certain things, coordination. There has to be some core group of volunteers. But if there is a huge amount of people just consuming it, how does participation increase? How do new people come and go out? What does this look like?
If you have a particular activity, there are people who join in and they would like to go. I think the core group of volunteers are people who are willing to stay the
course,
right? Stay the course. So there are some activities like that. I mean the typical thing, right? 20% of the people do 80% of the.
Correct. The Pareto.
So that also happens. It's very natural because it's kind of impossible for all volunteers to give time, and we are very volunteer driven. We're very, very if somebody wants to step off, they want to step off. There is no once you take a role or if you say something that you will do it. We are not going to hold that person because we know that there's family. There are so many things that's going on in people's lives. We just can't make demands of people. In a way, they are trying to give time, and sometimes that time does not happen. We have also had volunteers who stay a long time, but they do some work, right? Like they just do some essential work, but it's low key in the sense that after our Graphite India campaign, the air pollution campaign, somebody wrote to us saying, you know what, I live near the area. You guys' work has been really helpful. I was an accountant in some big firm a lot, but I now provide auditing services. So you know what, I can keep accounts for you. Just we will do it. So those are those are time consuming and just really some work. It's not like we have a lot of money, but then we don't fundraise. We have fundraised very few times. Like COVID is one. We have fundraised for Graphite India campaign. We fundraise for, and we have we have ATG and all of that because we have a trust. But otherwise, Whitefield Rising just doesn't have money. I mean, volunteers who are there, you spend out of pocket. There is no you don't give a receipt to some central authority and get your expenses. Like we do. The idea is very clear. If you're a volunteer, you want to kind of come and do something. It's your interest, and you want to go to BBMP office, you go. There is no travel expense bill that you can give it to anybody. There is nobody giving you money, So it's purely out of interest and commitment and things that you want to see change happen. That's why we are here. But things like that. There was a person who wrote us saying, you know what, I'll help you clean up your website. And he's been helping us with this for the last 2-3 years. Just want to do something. So we get inbound queries like this. Hey, I want to join your organization. What can I do? It's actually tough for us to find those things for people. So, because we don't have jobs to give people. Like said that, hey, you know what? Every month we will go clean. We don't have programs like that. It's a very it's not structured. We are a very informal, loose structure, but somehow we have survived since 2013, and it's in a way quite amazing that it's survived too.
Yeah, survived and set some nice goals for other people.
Yeah.
But also interesting is that, do you really think that's a disadvantage of not being organized? Because now only when there is a problem you get together, and if the problem is big enough to come together and do something, everybody puts their heart and it becomes really important and you somehow pull it off. But it is possible that if you have structured, you probably will just do it for the heck of doing it, and you'll start finding problems to solve when there is none. There could be positives to it, but this could also be that not too many people know how to plug in and plug out, because they're just waiting on the sidelines, and maybe there's a call that comes out, and so there might be possible. Where do you see the engagement being stronger with all of these kind of initiatives that you're doing?
It is hard. It is hard, actually. We don't take anything for granted. When the cause is big enough, I think people will come by and join. When we did that first, we did a huge protest. That was when the road and the conditions of the road were so bad that we did a massive protest. We brought 10,000 people on the road. And nobody knew that 10,000 people would come and do a protest in Whitefield like that. I think it really shook everybody up. And that was, I think, in 2015 November, when the big Whitefield, the big Whitefield Save Whitefields protest happened. That was a big one. And I don't think anybody at that time actually thought. And I remember just looking at the sea of people in front of ITPL saying, you know what, this is big, right? And I had these women coming and talking to me like, no, you tell us, we will march to Vidhan Sauda. You tell us and we will go there. Because their kids were sitting in traffic in the school bus. It was the mothers who were really charged up. I was charged up because my kids actually were in the bus for 4 hours the previous week. It was really affecting me because, they were close to me, but they couldn't get home. Those problems actually still continue, because you can see the Panatur guys facing the same issue we faced in 2015. There is advantages to being structured and organized. Maybe we will be able to do more. However, the important thing to note is that we don't want people to think that, hey, you tell Whitefield Rising and Whitefield Rising will fix it. We are not that.
You're not outsourcing the problem.
We are not. We want you to take charge. We are here to provide you learnings, a platform to find like-minded people and to come together. And there are things, maybe the volunteers or something like that will be able to join you for certain things too, right? But we are not here that, hey, tell Whitefield Rising, they will call and they will fix it. We are not. We are very simply volunteers who are just like anybody, do not have any special privileges. We might know the people who we can contact because we have those numbers. We know the name of the people. Because who knows a corporator's number? Who knows there is a JC? Who knows there is a zonal commissioner? How many people know? Do they need to know? Usually, hopefully things are all working and you don't need to be involved. You be a good person in the thing. You pay your taxes on time. You follow the rules and hey, everybody is happy. But now we know there is a zonal commissioner. There is a joint commissioner. There are ward officers. There are wards. Nobody knew the rate wards in Mahadepa now, increased. In each ward, there is a corporator, there is a junior health inspector. Okay, you drill down even more. Each ward is divided into blocks for garbage collection, and each block has a supervisor who's looking over it. There is an auto tipper. There is an auto tipper's number. We know this information now, so we are there to share it. So there are pluses to being structured, but it's also true that we are not here to solve problems for you. We are here to empower you to take action and be active citizens. So that is a very important distinction, because sometimes people think like, hey, Whitefield Rising, can you do it? No, we are just same. And how many things can we do now? Like, it's impossible for people to be all things to everybody. We are not, but we are able to connect. Like, I think Pravir mentioned it very, very, I don't know if Pravir Bagrodkar.
Yeah.
He is a very key member. He says, no, we can connect the dots. We are very good at that. I think that is, and we can amplify voices. I think there is that, because of our organization, because we are, we've been able to articulate those things well, we are able to amplify and bring attention to a problem. That is also, and we have also been working at it.
But is it also because it's a unique set of people with a different set of connections for whatever it is that area has cultivated a set of people who can do certain like that?
Yeah.
Maybe some other areas are not privileged enough in the sense they may have people of a different socioeconomic strata who are not well connected in this way.
Yeah.
Or do you think it is possible to... How does this even scale across the city? Forget about other cities. Can there be... There are XYZ risings across the city, maybe a few more. And in a few other names like change makers and I changed myself. There are lots of those. And then there are others like CFOs in this side of town. But they all work differently. They all want to do the same thing, solve problems, solve people's problems. Is it possible to create some of these common ways of working that can make all of these people effective in some way? Is there a time to bring that out, knowing what you know? Is it even possible to help others scale and create systems that can be more effective?
I mean, to think about it, we did actually organize once a Connect the Dots event where we wanted to share how Whitefield Rising came together, what is our vision. And we have a very motto that all drives us. I mean, if you are a Whitefield Rising person, very clearly, you are not in this to get glory. That has to be something. You're not in here to get a name for yourself. So a lot of times we shy away from sharing our name. We'll just say, hey, volunteer Whitefield Rising. So name is not even, mentioned there. Again, ugly Indians, they just say we are ugly Indians. We just want to do the work. So no glory. There is no, you're not in here. Nobody's going to say, you know what, you're such a great person. You do so much. I don't think there is none of that. So that has been a guiding force. And also that, there is if there is one laser focus in Whitefield Rising is to make sure that there is no credit hogging and those things. And we stay true to our vision document, which is you do if you want to do, and you try to be a good citizen of the city as much as possible. You believe in sustainability, you believe in taking care of the environment, you believe in building a community, right? And if you are able to help, hey, I will help. If you have the time and space and my bandwidth and all of those things. Now, it is actually, if you look at it, we see a lot of other, if you look like the Kanakpura guys, change makers of Kanakpura, they have a structure. There is certain roles that they fill, and they've been able to accomplish great things because of that. They're able to mobilize and all of that. And great for them. I think they've done wonderful things with with the police, working with the police to put those CCTV cameras. And during COVID also, I think they did a lot of work in the communities there. But I think for us, we have kept ourselves to a very volunteer-driven organization, who's there as a platform to just connect. And different, and everybody has different ways of working. What we are able to share, we share, and people are, free to follow that. We are just there to share information and support as needed. And we have partnered with, I think there are a lot of Bangalore-wide, civic issues that we have partnered with, like suburban rail, for the example. We have, wherever we have to come together. I think it's not possible to just for one organization to do anything at all. That the Chukubuku Relu that at that time, CFP, there was steel flyover, Beda, then elevated corridor. So many things. I think when Bangalore has come together, but we do make sure that, all of the things that we are supporting, there is somebody who is interested in that, can add value to the conversation, will read up on it, will understand it. So those people who are interested in that, they go forward and do it. It's not just It's not the same people. It's impossible for the same people.
But what happened if somebody comes up with a wacky idea and wants your support, and you all know it's not kosher? Would you still go ahead and support something like that?
No, we are very clear on lots of things.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very on the path of like it needs to be lawful, right?
Mm.
And when we say lawful, there is no abuse even. You cannot just go and abuse anybody.
Mm.
You cannot call people names, right? There are, and you can't take arbitrary decisions, which we know that, hey, the end goal, the means to the end goal is also important for us. Not just that we achieve a certain target. How we accomplish that is actually, we are laser focused on that as well, because it needs to be done in a manner that is not creating harm or abusing anybody, or is as per the law. We don't believe in breaking any rules that are there, but within those boundaries too, how can we work with the government? How can we work with the local agencies that are there? Because if you really think about it, like I said, Bangalore's grown like rapidly. I mean, the system is not. The system is the problem. Right? There are people within the system who would love to, I think. There are people, I think,
Sure.
there are officers everywhere. We have found some great people. It's just not possible otherwise. But sometimes they just can't, and the system is as like the people, the people. There are a lot of great people. I think we all fall on the, cup full, the cup is half full kind of people. We will look at things can change. We believe in taking action. And we find them, and things have been done. A lot of things people don't even know that Whitefield Rising has done. Stuff like the BESCOM, how do you go and online BESCOM, whatever do. There are these rules that making it easier for people to understand how to do it. Working with the BESCOM officials to put that into process very, very quietly. When you could go and get a voter ID, right? When you put in your application for voter registration, did you know at that time was you had to go and drop off the paper at the ward office, right? And they would just simply reject it and dump it in the, or they would just not take any action. They would keep it. We filed a PIL. Whitefield Rising has filed a PIL in the High Court, and it became a rule that if you are rejecting an application, you actually have to respond to them within a time bound manner, within 2 weeks, to tell them you can't reject summarily. You have to give a reason why you're rejecting. It became a rule. Now they can't reject summarily. Who knows that? Important policy things actually, because Whitefield Rising has filed a case and done it.
There's a lot of this citizen activism is what it is called. When you go in and ask for things, of course, we mentioned before the call that it's more like volunteering and active citizenship rather than citizen activism. But there's also this talking to government, getting things done, which is something every community wants to do.
Yeah.
But at some level, because they're very busy, there's a lot of work to be done. People stay away from being an active citizen, also because probably they don't have a Whitefield Rising equivalent type of organization to possibly reach out and say, hey, what do I do?
Yeah.
Right? That's one level of that. And even if that is there, I have personally noticed a dwindling level of optimism.
Yeah.
There's dwindling amount of engagement, mostly because people have gone online and don't think that beyond tweeting some things out, there is much that can be done. And the Twitterverse itself is getting quite toxic in some ways. But working with the government seems to have its own challenges. You talked about this system which prevents even good people from getting anything done, effectively.
Yeah.
It's not that probably Whitefield Rising's name is heard more and little more might get done, but you're also stuck in the same space of the system not being responsive enough. Is there space for more people who are streaming into Bengaluru in droves to get involved, or are they going to be transactionally disconnected from these things despite having a Whitefield Rising?
I think the key difference is staying power. Right? Our attention spans are also very limited, I think. I think the key to be able to accomplish things is a lot to do with perseverance. And sometimes just like, pounding the footpath. You have to go and visit. It can't be online engagement. You have to meet the people. I think with work and family and all of these things, just that the bandwidth is just not there. Or people are not understanding that this, you can't do it in 1 or 2 weeks. When you get into this, it's, you're talking about like a couple of years, maybe some things, right? We knew when we get into Vartur Lake, this was like a 5 to 10 year horizon. I don't think Vartur Lake was going to get fixed in like 1 year just because we raised some issue around it. We knew it would take time. I think that understanding of that, how quickly problems can be fixed, I think there is a bit of like, misalignment there. It took, in my community, near my community, just not even working with like the BBMP, it was working with the local SEZ. It took me a year to fix, like put some 35 slabs over the footpath, which was missing. Just like follow up, right? Follow up and them asking and budget, right? People don't understand that things take time, right? But if you're, but it's like, hey, things happen, but imagine a corporate office, right? Imagine a corporate office. How long does it take to get like a vendor in or like a contract drawn? How many legal eyes have to look at it? It's like what, like a 3 to 6 month process for for even like a or even a 10 lakh project. 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
that
Easily.
is where even imagine that a contract where there is a clear need, there is a business who will provide that need. If it is like 10 to 50 lakhs, that contract can be drawn. It'll take 3 to 6 months just to write that. Somebody has to visit it, verify it, and all of that. Now, can you imagine in the civic space how much of accountability and approvals and checking and finance and line items need to be there to be able to do that? That understanding is missing. So you think that, hey, I have complained and this is not done. So they get disheartened a lot. I think that, a little bit of that, we're seeing a lot of that. And, you're getting disheartened and you need, when you get into a little bit of active mode, you have to understand that you need to be in it for a little time. You do have to spend time on it, and things are not going to solve themselves in a week or two. But a lot of people don't have that time. So they're very good with plug in and plug out. So that's why I said, when we want a certain issue that is in a time bound manner, you're able to bring in something, or you can tell, hey, every week Saturday morning we will go do some tree planting. But the sustained thing, hey, you need to go to the office today, or BBMP commissioner is coming to Mahadevpura. Who can go? It's sudden, right? You will get in the morning, like BBMP commissioner is coming at 3 p.m. Who can go? A lot of Whitefield Rising is about that. Can we take that up? It's not about he's coming to meet us. No, we got to know that he's coming. Can you take that opportunity to go meet him and then able to share that, sir, can you look at this problem? He's able to get his time.
I'm sure there are a lot of people in different places of Bangalore who don't have access to a community like this. How, let's say a few of them were not plug in, plug out people, they were in it for the long term and wanted to make a change.
Yeah.
How do you think somebody should start? What does it take?
Good question. We have not actually been very good at answering that. Like to people who write to us saying, hey, what can I do? How can I join?
Yeah.
We have not been super successful at onboarding a lot of people, honestly speaking, right? It is actually very challenging. How can I? So what we do is when they write is like, join the WhatsApp group. Right. You will start finding support. You'll start listing. You'll see at least issues that are there, which people are raising. There are ward committee groups. So now, even though the corporator is not there, there are still ward committees that are happening, which the BBMP, as I said, they can be functioning ward committees. There's a nodal officer who's in charge, right? So we point them to like ward committees that they can join, where like there are officials. There is the JHI, the junior health inspector, or the assistant executive engineer for the roads or for electricity. All of those are there. They're able to raise that issue. I think that is kind of like an entry point. Because I think across Bangalore, I think there are opportunities now. I think specifically in the Mahadevpura area, in C.V. Raman Nagar, Kiarpura, and all of that, there are groups definitely that one can join and be able to raise issues and find like-minded people, or being able to start connecting. And then there might be meetings that you and if you want to do it, sometimes you can take an active, be the leader too, saying that, hey, I want to organize something. Can we do that? I think that is one way to start, to be more involved in your community. Find out if there aren't, maybe
The
you
next
can,
rising.
huh?
The next rising.
However you want to call it, might be more. Yeah.
That's probably where it is. But that's a good input. Maybe there is an issue that you want to address, and that's when you come together, right?
Yeah.
Issues catalyze people rather than just some ideological thought around these things.
Yeah.
But in the end, do you really think the political structure and the way the bureaucracy is structured, does it actually benefit by citizens coming together like this at all? Do you really feel net there has been some good things in the interaction with the government? Of course, there has always been good things when you do things amongst each other. You've been able to help each other out. That part anyway has to happen, and that is that's very useful in itself. But when you interact with the government, do you really think they see you as an ally, or do they just put up with you because you're a PITA?
What was that last thing?
Pain in the ass.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No, I mean, that's a good question. I don't know. We certainly don't think of them as somebody that we have to go and keep on poking. No, we don't consider. We are genuinely looking to raise the issue to them and see what can be done. And we have got great successes there too, right? I mentioned briefly Graphite India, the campaign for clean air. The whole structure, the whole system helped us. It's amazing. We went to KSPCB, and the member KSPCB, to be able to make sure that KSPCB, acted, supported us. We reached out to our representative, our MP, PC Mohan. He came with us to meet the KSPCB member and to chair that meeting.
Yeah.
That led to KSPCB chairman for the first time visiting Graphite India. He had never visited. And for him to see with his own eyes the thing that people had been telling, we had gone to the police, and the police helped us in filing a complaint, right? It was so, a similar way, there have been successes, and I don't think necessarily we take a confrontational stance, saying that, hey, you're not doing. We have taken protests, we have challenged them, saying that, hey, you are a representative, that you should. But I think that's a valid question that everybody should ask.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, hey, you are there to represent us. You should ask these. You should raise these. I think with suburban rail, everybody from every corner of Bangalore has, and met with their representative and asked, hey, what are you doing for suburban rail in Bangalore? Right? You need to help us. And I don't think any representative have said no. They will not meet. Right? I think maybe we are all fortunate. I mean, they've all been very, open to meeting and dialogues, and we have met Mr. Ramalinga Reddy. When we want to raise the issue of BMTC, we have gone and met him. He's given us time to meet. At that time, KJ George had come to, when he was the Bangalore minister, he's come to Whitefield for meetings. He's issued. I think what has helped is really raise the concern of the lack of civic amenities in this area. I think that's very well understood now. There is no question that we lack a lot of services. I don't think there is any question about that. I mean, that has led to, the current road budget that the BBMP is doing. There is 149 crores that is given to Mahadevpura because our roads are also bad. I think there is some effort there. I mean, it's very clearly understood. So that's helpful. Some of the areas that we had talked about before, there is improvement. We are seeing the road conditions and things like that. There are footpaths. But even outside of now the thing is outside of the main roads, the smaller roads. What are you doing about that? So we need to keep on bringing those voices, to light. Like Panatur, for example, Balagiri. Areas are they were added. They were just added. ITPL came to Whitefield, so Whitefield got that, we got that attention. But we have a metro now. We have we have a hoodie railway station happened because after we raised that, right? So there have been changes. I will definitely not say that things have not changed, but this is not good enough.
Where do we stop? Yeah.
Yeah, this is not good enough, man. Like we just got Kaveri.
Really?
I mean, stage 5, right? Kaveri stage 5 was October when the taps opened. Imagine from 2008 to 2024, Kaveri stage 5, the bigger Kaveri water coming. It's funny, I don't think a lot of Bangalore, when they hear it, they don't understand. Now, October 2024.
I mean, I have the pipe. The water doesn't come. That's a different story.
So that's a different, but we don't have the pipes.
Okay.
For the water to come, right? So isn't that amazing, right? So I think a lot of Bangalore. See, the thing is, when I tell a lot of people, Whitefield, who will come? They don't even come.
It's so far away.
So far away, because the horrendous stories about how long it will take. By the way, I go to the central area, Vidansa, whatever, Cubbon Park. It takes me 1 hour. But people think that it will. There's there is a image that is created that you can live and die and have grandchildren and then you'll reach Whitefield. Right? So people don't even they're like, okay, no, can't go to Whitefield. But it's 1 hour. I mean, come on.
No, I mean, I used to say that as well, guilty as charged. But now with the metro, I don't feel that way, and I'm slowly inching that way. But yeah, I've had those jokes as well. Whitefield has
things have changed in Whitefield. I mean, there is more activities now, and there is, as I keep telling people, we have a little bit of culture too. We have some drama, we have theater. There's Jagriti. There are Tindi hopping places. There are some, this culture. You can't say that there's no culture in Whitefield. There is culture.
Yeah,
it's not so bad.
I think we should do a Whitefield tour of the cultural Whitefield tour.
See, Arun Pai said that he's going to do a walk in Whitefield.
Yes. So his episode is airing before yours, and he's probably going to do that as a part of his 15-day thing that he's doing.
Not in this one. I think he'll do it later, he said. See, like I said, there is culture.
Okay. So
there are things happening. I seriously think Bangalore is like a wonderful city. I think what has really impressed, what has really, increased my love for the city is finding so many people who are willing to give.
Nice.
I think it's just amazing in Bangalore.
Do you think it's not possible in some other cities?
I don't know. I mean, not that I've heard. It's not like I've lived in Bombay or Delhi or something like that. I've only visited. Perhaps there are, but I'm not fully aware. But I've lived some years in Chennai, Madras, but when I was a student and all of that. But maybe I was not plugged in at that time because I was like, who's listening to civic issues at that time, right? But generally, right, if you hear of things people are willing to give their time. I think more than money, it's like time too. Money is important too, but time is also very important. So you can call up a lot of people, and then the famous Zen Rain Man.
Yeah, sure.
He's hearing, and he's giving off of his knowledge and information to you, right? They will hold talks. It might be about civic issues or not about civic issues, like Leo or something. He will tell you what are things, or I think, even culturally, I've gone on the Tindi hopping with Ajit Bhaskar. It's just people coming together and going. There's no charge. Really, right? Where do you find that? In a lot of places. Or they just want to bring people together. And Ravi, I think, is starting a center where, it's just a place for people to gather together.
Yeah.
Like that. I mean, I find so many examples like that in Bangalore or Tara or Srinivas, like WRI, we went to office. They're willing to open up their offices if people want to hold meetings.
Yeah.
I think it's a very Bangalore thing that, you are willing to give of your space and time to causes which will bring a community forward or help one another. I think that's just so brilliant, Bangalore. And that's what keeps it alive. That's the
vibe.
Secret sauce.
Yeah, secret sauce vibe. Awesome. Thanks for coming on the show, Zibi, and sharing with us. That's a good way to end 2024 on.
I enjoyed this conversation.